Let's bring in Jeff Paterson from RinkWide Vancouver. 2 goals in the opening 10 minutes gave Vancouver a lead it wouldn't relinquish on Saturday night. Ilya Mikheyev, Sam Lafferty, and Elias Pedersen each scored once and had an assist as the Canucks withstood a late push from the Flames to hang on for a 4-3 NHL win. And JP, thanks for joining us. Your take on that game, if you don't mind. Not easy to go into Calgary and win for anybody, but Vancouver did it in Nikita Zadorov's debut. What was your take on the game?
Yeah, well, that was the big storyline. Obviously, you make a trade with the team, and then he sits there and waits for his new team to arrive and then faces his old team on Saturday night. So the storylines presented themselves there, and I thought Zadorov was fine. He played 17 and a half minutes. He was out there late. Gets an assist on the empty netter, so he preserves the victory. But as you said, it was really the start there. 2 minutes in, Quinn Hughes scores, and they add to that, and that gave them a bit of a cushion. And, Rod, that was a big bounce-back game for the Canucks because you probably saw that they lost to Vegas on Thursday, and the Canucks have had an incredible start here, and there's a real buzz back in Vancouver, and it's been fun. They're 25 games into this thing, but the game against Vegas on home ice on Thursday, it kind of felt like the Golden Knights came to town and said, "Oh, really? You guys think you're in our class?" And then just kind of, swatted them away, outshot them by a 2-1 margin, beat them 4-1. And I think that there were some learnings there for the Canucks. And so they had to turn around quickly, go to Calgary, a divisional rival, divisional game. And the Flames were playing better of late. And so the Canucks with the regulation win, and it got a little dicey there at the end, but they held them off. They win it 4-3. They extend their lead to 10 points over Calgary, and that matters because obviously the Canucks believe that they've done enough in the early going here to be a playoff team. That said, there's still a lot of hockey to be played, so to extend their lead to 10 points over a team like Calgary that's in that chase pack, that was an important victory for them on Saturday night.
Zadorov was booed every time he touched the puck. Was it in fun or not in fun? I saw his quotes after. He's like, the players here love me. I love them. Do the fans? What was the vibe on that?
I think anytime a guy asks for a trade, I think the fans think that he's sort of turning his back on the organization and the city. And we've seen in recent years, obviously, with Johnny Hockey and Matthew Tkachuk, and there have been a few that, have wanted out of Calgary. Everybody's got their own reasons. So I think it was a bit of a mixed bag. I think that some of it's in fun. There's always that sheep mentality. If the guy beside me is booing, I better boo as well. And Saturday night, they're probably fueled up there in the Saddle Dome. Whatever the case, Zadorov is a character. I had heard that about him. This guy's bounced around. It's his 5th NHL team, so he's gone back and played former teams a bunch of times. This isn't new to him. It didn't seem to faze him. And I got a kick out of the fact that Rick Tocchet decided to pair him up with Tyler Myers. So you got 6 foot. Zadorov's the small guy on that pairing rod at 6'6", with Tyler Myers, who's 6'8", 6'10" on skates. And, I think that's going to be a pair that the Canucks are going to continue to trot out here and see if that's something that, can work for them moving forward.
Yeah, it seemed to work the other night. Now, tell me if this is true. We get so many numbers pumped into our head. I can't remember, keep them all straight. I think the Flames were 12, 8, and 4 or something in November. And the Canucks have cooled off a little bit. Am I right in saying they're 4 and 5 in their last 9? Is that right, or did I dream that?
No, and they've alternated wins and losses. So it's kind of funny. They're in this stretch here where it's win one, lose one for the better part of a couple of weeks, but they got off to a 12-3-1 start. And that's where I say, that's put them in this position now. 500 hockey the rest of the way won't quite get them into the playoffs, but when you put that many points in your back pocket in the early going, you've set yourself up. And this is a team that for the last couple of seasons has got off to these terrible starts and has been playing catch up really since the first week of the season. So the tables have turned here, and that's why I say people are cautiously optimistic. But when you've got Quinn Hughes off to the start that he's off to, Elias Pedersen had 21 points in his first 10 games. He's cooled, certainly, but nobody's talking about JT Miller. JT Miller's tied for second in NHL scoring. Brock Besser leads the NHL with 17 goals, and you got Thatcher Demko doing his thing as one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. So, individually, they've got some parts here that certainly have propelled this start. And it's a question of, can those guys keep up at the levels that they've been at? Probably not. And some of that too is, and this gets talked about a lot out here. You can't control your schedule. At the end of the season, you've played 41 at home, 41 on the road. You've played everybody. But the Canucks have benefited from a relatively soft schedule in terms of the quality of competition that they've faced. only 6 of their first 24 games have been against teams that are currently in the top 10 in the National Hockey League standings. They've already beaten the Oilers 3 times when the Oilers couldn't score a goal and couldn't get a save, so the schedule worked in their favor in that regard. You know, a couple of wins over a sad sack San Jose team, although they lost to the Sharks as well. So, look, the Canucks are beating the teams for the most part that are there in front of them on any given night, but they also know that there will be bigger and better challenges as this season moves along.
Jeff, the difference is Rick Tocchet. That's it. And you going into the season, you said they are good, but how much better are they going to be a playoff team? And right now they are. What's Tocchet done? Can you put your finger on what he's done?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is he really seems to have brought the best out in JT Miller. JT Miller had a 99-point season a couple of years ago, and we thought, all right, like, you know, can he get back anywhere close to that level? And then at the start of last year under Bruce Boudreau, the defensive side of the game just got away from JT. I mean, he was out getting scored on. I think he was on the ice for the first 8 or 9 goals of the season that the Canucks surrendered. And so we talk about a guy that got off to a tough start and it didn't get a whole lot better from there. And I think Rick Tocchet came in, and JT Miller is a guy that was raised in the Pittsburgh area. I think he watched Rick Tocchet as a player. He certainly knows what Rick Tocchet's all about. And on some levels, they're not the same. The game has changed, but you know, JT Miller's a no-nonsense kind of guy. Plays hard and competes, and I think Rick Tocchet was able to reach him on some levels about both ends of the ice, and he's been terrific. He's taken on matchups all season long, and as I said, he's tied for second in scoring, so he's risen above, holding his own defensively, so that's been a huge part of it. I think that a healthy Thatcher Demko, it was this week last year where he got hurt and was out for 3 months, and he had a tough start to begin with, but then he disappeared, and they just didn't have any sort of goaltending as the season started to slip away. So good goaltenders can make good coaches, but Rick Tocchet's just brought in a philosophy of this level of compete and winning your one-on-one battles and winning the board battles and all that type of stuff. I mean, it's pretty simple stuff, but it seems to have reached a lot of these players, and they've molded the roster. It's not perfect by any stretch. It's hard to get a perfect roster in the salary cap era, but they've brought in some guys. Sam Lafferty, you mentioned off the top. He plays a Rick Tocchet style, just up and down, but he's got speed and he's got some size and not afraid to use it. And I think these guys like playing for Rick Tocchet. And the other part, too, Rod, is Adam Foote probably deserves a fair bit of credit. I mean, the Canucks were just a disaster last year defensively. Here's Adam Foote. He was available when they made the midseason coaching change. Rick Tocchet brought him in as an assistant, and to a man, certainly the defense corps just rave about the way that Adam Foote approaches the game. Again, a guy, with a resume a mile long, a track record of success, and so instant credibility and respect there. And you're right. I do think that from the top down, there's alignment now from the management group to the coaching staff they brought in midway through last season. And Rick Tocchet had those 36 games last year to sort of instill his systems, and the hope was that they would hit the ground running at training camp. And yeah, I mean, as you look back now, 25 games in, hard to argue with the success the Canucks have had, sitting with a record of 16-8-1.
A wonderful Vancouver Canucks update. I appreciate it, Jeff. Home now for what, 5? Enjoy the hockey. I appreciate it. Happy holidays if I don't talk with you, and thanks for helping us out today.
Yeah, and just quickly, we should get you a Roberto Luongo bobblehead to add your collection. He's going into the Ring of Honor here at the end of next week when the Panthers are in town, and they are giving away a Lou bobblehead. So I may have to find a way to slide you one there to add to your collection.
That'd be nice, JP. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. Jeff Paterson from Securis and Price and RinkWide Vancouver.